What's up, Mike? All right, so we got 3 guys in here. Awesome. Hopefully, the little bit of a heads up prior to the live stream let more of you guys actually join in and hang out with us. So, basically, guys, you know how it is. We just do a free for all. Any kind of questions you have, any questions about the transmission, the turbo, questions about Turbo Time USA, the sponsor to the channel. As always, a huge shout out to those guys. Incredibly happy to have their support on the channel. And funny shirt. I love this shirt. I was once asked if it was an advertisement for sriracha sauce or for myself. To buy an HR person, actually. That was a funny day at work. But anyway, so guys, any questions you have about how things are with the truck, the transmission? Again, we're definitely going to talk about Turbo Time USA, and just incredibly happy to have their support. They've been awesome to work with, and we've been communicating back and forth a lot since all that. And here's my energy drink from my sister that I asked for because I'm a little tired. If she can get the lock on the front door anyway. Jordan.
Honey.
By the way, I'm doing a live stream.
Should I
have food too?
Should made
Sorry, guys. This is
food and Texas toast. She told me to give it to you. Say thank you. She's on the phone.
Thank you, Shy. I appreciate it.
Say thank you to your sister for the monster.
Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate it. Sorry about that, guys.
Hi, live feed.
Rossville in the house. That's right. What's up? What's up, Rippin? How you doing? Jordan, one of the subscribers named Mike says hi, and then he said you ain't crap, but I don't know where the second part came from.
Mike?
Just kidding. He said hi.
If I had my face on, I would come on your camera.
Get out of here. I'm busy. Okay, so Brent has a serious question.
Hold on, Cheyenne.
Jordan, I need you to go. What upgrades do you do to these trannies? So it kind of depends. There's upgraded clutches and steels. I don't know a ton about transmissions. I do have to come clean about that. I just don't know enough about them, but I do know there's upgraded clutches and transmissions. Josh is more attractive. I don't see it. Along with billet input. Sorry, Brent, lose my train of thought here. Basically, you have an input, intermediate, shaft, and overdrive, something or other it's called. So basically, you get billet parts, you cram as many clutches in there. Some people do custom valve bodies along with different solenoids in there. Some people modify the pump itself to increase line pressure. Then there's some builders that leave those things alone as far as increasing line pressure through the solenoids or pump itself and just leave it to tuning. A lot of people don't realize that they're one and the same. If you have one of the upgrades for the line pressure, then typically you have to let your tuner know so he doesn't increase it and end up destroying your pump at the same time. Let's see here. Rossville in the house. That's right. MCG717. Who do I know you out of curiosity? I drive through Rossville all the time to head down to Diesel and Automotive. Thoughts on BD versus Mishimoto intercooler? I have not seen either of them in person to really comment. I'm currently running the CSF 6028 intercooler. We have a video on that. Basically, it shows it a stock comparison to the upgraded one. I have really enjoyed it. It's held up great. Has cast aluminum end tanks. BD and Mishimoto, though, I think are both two really good companies. I would probably, I want to say I'd lean more towards the BD, to be honest, but I don't really know without comparing them side by side. Banks, when those two I know are very expensive when you're talking them. There's Banks that's right in there as well as a very good intercooler that has, you'll also get the boost tubes with it. If you're running stock ones and you want to upgrade the Banks in regards, that's pretty good. The CSF is hands down the cheapest upgraded intercooler you're going to get for our trucks. And then I run an MBRP hot side pipe with a no limit fab cold side pipe. Josh Eby, he is my favorite. I don't think anyone's requested you recently, to be honest, Josh. The Beer Guy, 1. Awesome name, 2. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Recently, when I cold start my truck, it takes about 15 seconds to get the turbo whistle. Do you think the user ring is sticking? If you don't have any driving issues, I would attribute that to it just being insanely cold. If your temperatures are anything like what we're seeing here in Pennsylvania, I was just on the phone with my brother. I think when he said he went to work this morning, it was like -5. So very, very cold. As long as you're like mine, when it's really cold, I don't get the whistle right away. Some of it can be in your tuning as well. But I would definitely, as long as you're not having drivability issues, especially when it's warmed up a little bit, I would not worry about it. It's probably nothing. If you do want to see if your vanes are sticking, you can bring up a monitor and check your VGT duty cycle. And basically when you're driving, you don't want to see it at 15 or 85%. That would kind of show you that they're starting to stick. Now at idle, especially with a tune-in, it's not uncommon for them to run at 85 at the extremes with the programmer commanding it that way. Excuse me. What's your recommendation on first step on bulletproof stock 6L? One, the term bulletproof gets really thrown around a lot. I don't like to use it. One, because bulletproof diesel apparently gets kind of upset about people throwing it around and not using their products. Understandable to an extent. But basically, my first step would be Kill Devil diesel heads, get new lifters put in there. You can buy them from Kill Devil. And in my opinion, you need to kind of address the cam loop to some degree, whether that is with updated, shorter push rods, or I actually have replaced the cam with a Colt Stage 2. What that'll give you is faster spool up. I love the Colt Stage 2 cam. It's a great mod, and it's fun to drive around in. It'll help with spool up and everything, but definitely if you're looking for a great, reliable stud job that you're not going to have to worry about it and not a whole bunch of extra cost, new lifters, short updated push rods, and Kill Devil diesel cylinder heads is where I would go, and of course ARP studs. Let's see here. Wagner, how you doing, man? Good to see you in here. New pump bar, vacuum tester. Mike, I would check specifically in the seals. There's 2 seals in there that commonly get messed up, especially if you've had ball joints done recently. Very common for people to mess them up and that to be the source of a vacuum leak out of the right around the hub assembly. That would be my guess, is that seal needs replaced. While you're in there, I would just get all new wheel bearing assemblies and call it a day. And if your hubs are getting old, nothing wrong with throwing new hubs in. Now, I realize I did just rattle off probably like $600 in parts because obviously you need new seals and everything in there. But that is where I would look at those to see what's going on there. But it is definitely a thing. Chris, you bring up a good point. Daniel, I did not even address EGR, and I should have. If you can delete it, I recommend just getting an ODOG S3R ported intake manifold and slapping it in there. Awesome modification. Huge fan of it. But again, that's another $800 that I just threw out there. So keep that in mind. If not, there are a lot of other good delete kits. The most cheapest would definitely be putting a freeze plug in each end of your EGR cooler and having somebody put a weld bead around there and call it a day. Chris, I completely agree. $800 well spent. I love my ported intake. It's about 45 or so. At 45, you should be fine. Part of why you're not getting the whistle is because it's not commanding it closed further, I believe. At 45, you kind of end somewhere between like a V8 rumble and the whistle, if I remember correctly. Colt, it is not hard at all to install. If you can pull the intake manifold, you can install one of these. It is a little work. It's a little intimidating. You do have to remove your oil filter housing because your fuel bowl is connected to that, so you have to disconnect all your fuel lines. And I believe that's it. Your FICM wiring harness and main engine wiring harness, you'll need to kind of move out of the way. But other than that, it's not bad. You take the alternator off. I typically pull the turbo just because it's a little easier, but you don't have to. And I do have videos on that. I have videos comparing a stock intake manifold to the O-Dog, unboxing it, where I didn't know anything about it, and I was trying to figure out what all the little plugs were for, and I was a goofball, but and then actually how I install it, I give some tips because it can be a little bit of a pain, but I do give tips on how to install that. I do recommend, I forget the Torx bit size, but that you get an extended shank one, like a 3-inch one, and I would recommend getting one of the more expensive ones that's actually pressed into a socket already. When we were installing mine, I dropped it down in there a few times and had to fish either the bolt out that holds it down or my Torx bit, which was fun and a nerve-wracking process altogether. So I would definitely get the longer shank one with a socket on the end of it, or get the longer one and weld it on there. And but definitely what I recommend getting with that. But it's an awesome intake. Go check out the video after the live feed. Of course, go check out the video on how to install that. And you get caught back up here. It's quick too. What mileage should I change the roller from 5 with chasing? It's quick too. So the stock camshaft on 6 liters is really designed to promote EGR flow. So it's not, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's tons of people making tons of power with the stock camshaft, so don't think you need to do that replacement. However, what I would do is I would recommend getting the 6.4 push rods, because what it will do, sorry, I thought I heard somebody knocking. The shorter 6.4 push rods will help take some of that preload off of the lifters and help extend them. Our trucks are kind of known for going through lifters at times. However, my truck had 180,000 miles when I did studs, and my stock lifters still looked fine. The stock cam had normal wear on it, so no real big issues there, but I did upgrade those. I did stick with stock lifters, though. I don't see a reason to change them out. There are a few upgraded ones on the market. How good they are, I don't really know. I don't have any experience with them. Jordan, you have no idea what you're talking about. They're brand new Moog hubs, though less than. Mike, then I would consider maybe getting in contact with them and maybe filing a warranty claim. When you did them, did you put a new seal in there? Like the steering knuckle, there's a seal in there. I don't have any video on it. This summer, Josh and I are going to get some video for you guys. But there's a seal in there you need press in. A lot of people mess it up. And that's a very common area. I would check there. Or right at the axle one as well. Is Greg going to build your tranny? Or MCG 717, I am not 100% sure. I'm not dead set on any options. What stinks is if I have Greg build the transmission, I'm out of a truck for about a week and a half. Greg and I talked about it. However, I have no doubts in Greg's ability to build a solid transmission. I don't know if you know him very well at all or if you talk with him, but his truck's pushing out some power and he built the transmission. It's holding up just fine with a custom billet triple disc torque converter. So I have no problem with that. It's just kind of what's best for my time as far as what I'm able to do. It would stink to be without the truck for a week, but at the same time, again, it would be cool to have. I'd love to have Greg build it. I did reach out to a few builders to talk to them and see what they say. So I plan to have an update for that in about a week and a half with a final set decision on what I'm planning. If you guys know of any 03 or 04 transmission cores lying around that I can get my hands on, please let me know, because I am looking, but everybody wants too much money for broken stuff, essentially. So let's see here. MCG, I have not plugged. You guys all right over there? My sister's breaking stuff in the house. Sorry, guys. As far as plugging the truck in, I have not plugged it in. Started right up today. Let's see. I got up. That was about 7:30 in the morning. So I think it was probably around probably a wind chill of like -5. I think when I drove by the one shopping center, it said -7. I don't know how accurate that was, but yeah, the truck started up and ran great today. I'm not saying to not plug it in. It doesn't hurt anything. You know, if you get up 2 or 3 hours before you're doing something, or you can set like a timer, there's no harm in it, and your truck warms up better. And you hop in your truck, and a minute down the road, you got hot air. So that's always nice. Let's see here. 6 years. Monthly miles was the best oil used. Thanks. Awesome videos. Eugene, I have been running Motorcraft with Arch Oil. Again, there is a video of me talking about Arch Oil. Huge fan of it. I recommend it. Oil is there's a lot of different people recommending a lot of different things. I'm debating trying Schaefer's next. I started to stay away from Rotella products because Warren Diesel recommends to stay away from them. That's whose injectors I'm using. So I am staying away from them at the moment. They claim it leaves like a film or something. They've seen a higher rate of injector failures with that oil. Not talking bad about Rotella at all. A lot of people have it with a ton of miles on their truck and don't have a single issue. But that's just where I'm at with it. Injector builder said don't run it. If something goes wrong with them, I would like to have my expensive injectors replaced free of my charge. So that's where that comes from. Rippin, you need to get one of those intakes. They are awesome. I can't say enough good things about them. Phil, I just poured a little diesel 911 in my tank and ran the truck for about 10 minutes to help circulate that. I do regularly run Arch Oil's fuel treatment as well. And definitely get most places by this time of year have winter mix, but I have seen all sorts of people complaining of having gelled up fuel. So keep that in mind. Definitely would recommend throwing an additive in it right now if you're one of the people seeing negative temperatures at the moment. What kind of trans am I going with? I am definitely going to be going with a built transmission. Guys, I want to say this is awesome. I love when it's busy like this and you guys keep me going. It makes these live streams so much fun to do and see you guys going back and forth in the comments too. Thank you guys, because this is what makes this part really fun for the channel. So what kind of trans? We're definitely going to go fully built, at least a billet input and probably intermediate shafts. The other billet parts, I don't know if my build will require, but definitely getting some upgraded clutches and steels in there. Definitely new valve body solenoids and a new pump, and billet triple disc torque converters, definitely all going in there. I'll probably keep with a factory stall on it, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. That's the direction I'm heading. We're looking to make over 600 horsepower. So I'd like a transmission that can realistically handle 800 horsepower of abuse is what I'm looking for. Sean, sorry to hear that, brother. Enjoy your dinner, though. I'm sure you're off by now, but when you watch this, I hope you guys have a good dinner, man. Man, Phil, how cold is it by you that you still froze up? A lot of people are just freezing up. It's kind of crazy. Once you drop in 155, 30 injectors. So Josh, in my opinion, injectors, a lot of people have their preference and it's very subjective. I would recommend 175 30s. In my opinion, if you're going with the 155, just keep to a stock nozzle. The 155 isn't big enough of an upgrade to really, in my opinion, again, this is all just opinion, to justify it. I'm running 175 stock nozzles on my injectors, and I love them, but I still wish I had a 30% nozzle on a 175. A 155, run a stock nozzle all day long, save your $400 or $500 on that injector. But if you spend a couple more dollars, you get a 175/30, and I guarantee you'll love that injector. As for your turbo, I imagine he's probably looking at KC's 68 millimeter turbo. I have nothing bad to say about KC, and I've not personally ran one of their turbos. What I can say is I'm currently running a turbo from Turbo Time USA. Check out my previous video for a coupon code to get a free merch item from them. But they, sorry, the things that my sisters say are baffling sometimes. So anyway, where was I? I'm running a 66 millimeter VGT, and it has a PowerMax style turbine wheel, or the 03 style turbine wheel. It's the same one. But that would be my recommendation. That's what I'm going to tow. My fifth wheel is about 13,000 pounds, and I plan to tow with that and 190/30 injectors. So that's where I would go with that. As far as the turbo spool up time for daily driving, even with my stock nozzled injectors, driving fine. Absolutely love it. It's a blast. Again, that's Turbo Time USA. Go check them out. Highly, highly recommend them. I'm really enjoying them right now. Let's see here. Next one. If you have any want to make power, then you do now. Go stage 3. If you have any want to make power, then you do now go stage 3. Chris, I'm going to need you to quick say that again one more time. I don't quite understand that comment. Do you mean stage 3 turbo? Josh, Josh, we'll have to message me on Instagram, and we'll talk there about that and how much. I don't know how much it would be to ship out here. I feel like that'd be probably a little out of my price range, but definitely message me on Instagram. It's 6.0 bros, but after the O, there's an H. So I shop do it. The only seal I know is a large rubber. Mike, I would definitely take it back to them and let them know, because it's definitely probably something they did, whether but maybe not a part they replaced, but a part that could have been goofed up. You know, they may not have quite realized how that is, but that is a common thing. You should be able to lock your hubs manually, though, and still put it in four-wheel drive. Chris, I definitely agree with you. 190s and a 68 are a great combo. Again, Turbo Time USA does offer a 68. Why I kind of would stay away from quite that large is because you are towing. Excuse me, I'm not saying you can't tow with that, but I would be a little hesitant. My turbo is 66.2 by 92. The 68, I want to say it's like 68 by 100. Don't quote me on that, everybody. But it is definitely a relatively big charger. And I don't know if you would enjoy towing with that. I would definitely recommend either Turbo Time USA sells a 64 by 94 turbo. They also have a Towmaster turbo that would be a nice pair with the 155s, or even a 175/30 still. But I would definitely check that out. I would not go with a 68 and a 155, because 155's injectors are going to run out of fuel with a PowerMax turbo. The PowerMax will be enough to push them through. Do you watch P? Oh, do I watch Powerstroke Help? I watch some of his videos. I am sorry about my sister. She must have been drinking or something. MCG, I do definitely agree with his endorsement of Arch Oil. Excellent product. I really do love it.
I hope you pee yourself.
Sorry, guys. Let me get caught up here.
I'm sorry you gave me pneumonia, Jack.
I did not give you cold. Anyway, so Powerstroke Help. I have nothing necessarily bad to say about his channel. He goes on a lot of rants lately. Nothing wrong with it. But I do think his shop does good work. I will say that he gets O-ringed heads. He has his special casting, much like some other top builders. I think his shop does good work. He has a lifetime warranty that I haven't heard. I feel like if he wasn't honoring that lifetime warranty, we would hear about it on the forums, on the pages. Somebody somewhere would be complaining, and I don't hear anything, so I don't think there's an issue. But since you're right in Rossville and Greg is right down the road from you, if you ever need work, I highly recommend him. If you ever run diesel clean in the gray bottle, I have never run the one in the gray bottle that I can remember. I've run Motorcraft fuel additive and their 911 product. I may have run the gray bottle once. Don't quote me on that, but I can't remember. I don't think it was a bad product. If I don't remember definitely running it, it didn't do bad, but it didn't wow me either. And it could just be we had a mild winter that year. You never know exactly, but I can never say my fuel's completely gelled up, although it definitely was a little much today because my fuel PSI dropped down to like 55. And typically I don't have a regulated return yet. So my fuel pressure typically runs between 70 and 75 with my fast pump, which is about as high as you want to run it. I actually contemplated taking the Blue Spring out to put the old one back in to help bring my pressure down, but I don't think I have an issue, and I'm going to put a regulated return on this summer. So, yeah, I'm not going to give myself extra work, so to speak. I run diesel clean and having any problems with it. Ripping 6.0. How cold is it by you, dude? Because it's pretty brisk out by us at the moment. Just got my truck to the shop tonight on the way home from school. It stalled out on me. It was like 18 degrees out. Put plenty of anti-gel in. Yeah, it's just cold. Who knows? Maybe it was starting to gel earlier. You're not the only person that has put a lot of the anti-gel in and had diesel gel up. I've been on the forums today, and people have been complaining left and right about it, having their fuel gel. So who knows exactly. Hopefully it's not another issue. Hopefully it's just as simple as changing out the fuel filters and letting your truck heat up a little bit. So let us know. Comment on one of the videos. Let us know how that turns out, dude. Hopefully that is it for you, and it's nice and easy. Central Ohio. Yikes. Just our neighbor there. Chris. Dude, that's awesome, Chris. You are going to love that turbo. Chris, did you get the same one I have, the 66 millimeter velocity port? Because I can tell you right now, you're gonna love it. I'm so happy with this turbo right now. It is a monster. I will message you on. Perfect. Yeah, hit me up on there, dude. -30 with wind chill yesterday. That's -60 with wind chill. Man, that's insane. Absolutely insane. That's too freaking cold. 2-cycle oil to diesel is supposed to help with something like injectors. Mike, I have heard of it. I don't necessarily recommend it. I've never personally done it. And with the price of injectors, I'm going to stick with companies like Arch Oil, Diesel Clean, these companies that definitely have safe products that are proven. I just the whole 2-cycle oil thing. And I don't know, again, it's something I'm ignorant on. I don't know enough about it to actually comment intelligently on it, but I do not recommend it, Mike. Oh, yeah, no. Wind chill definitely means nothing because here's the thing. The parts of the truck that are actually matter are all covered by fenders. They're not really getting any wind, too. And it's not like us where it feels the cold. Yeah, no. I heard a few people, but still, if it's -60 with wind chill, you know it's cold still. You're definitely well into the negatives at that point. I would definitely look at a bad power steering pump with that problem. Now, I will say this. as long once you're moving, if it's easy to turn, I wouldn't worry. I don't think our trucks turn very well with stock size tires at a standstill. Edge CTS or pod gauges and all that shops are. So what I like is, what I'm very interested in is Banks has this monitor, and I don't know if it's expandable or anything yet, but I don't know much about it because my truck's too old. I think they say it only will support out to a 08. And if they can make a pod that fits in a nice little tiny pod that can still clearly display things, it looks nice. I've seen it in person. My buddy Truck Guy Joe has one. It's a nice pod. If they can make it expandable for things like a different boost gauge or pressure gauge of some kind, what's the other thing I want to run? Boost, exhaust temp, and fuel pressure. Those are the, basically with tuning, when you start getting up there, bigger turbos, bigger injectors, they start to change how your truck reads boost so it doesn't defuel once it hits a certain boost parameter. So I want to be able to read it correctly. So I would like an aftermarket one. So if Banks can make that happen, I will probably buy that gauge. Just because it seems nice, especially if it works with all, if I can read FICM, all the stuff for my FICM and all those different parameters. It's something I'm looking at. Otherwise, I think CTS2 kind of has the market right now against everybody else for the most part. There's some cool Android devices, Torque Pro, Forescan, that I'm messing around with. I'm meaning to do videos kind of going over some of these, and they'll probably be very specific. I also like to do videos on like diagnosing cold starts. I just haven't gotten around to some of it. I lacked some motivation in December with my surgery and everything to fix my arm. But those are videos I'm looking at. The Edge CTS, though, the CTS2 anyway, you can't go wrong with it. I will probably be running that in the near future because it'll let me run all the things and just have one thing mounted as opposed to 18 different gauges everywhere. That can be a bit of a pain in the butt. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I do know Glow Shift makes a single gauge that has those three things I want, in which case I would just continue to run Torque Pro. But Glow Shift is not known for its stellar reliability. Now, I haven't had any issues with them in the two gauges I've run personally, so I'm not talking bad about them, but I'm also looking for very accurate numbers, especially because I want to be able to give TurboTime USA accurate boost numbers with what I'm running and be able to tell them my fuel pressure, my exhaust temps, and know that I'm giving them very accurate information. Not that anything from Glow Shift has led me to believe it's inaccurate, but it's definitely on the lower end of quality. I see, correct, but negative 37 air temps made nothing run well. Yeah, no, at negative 37, nothing is running well. So that is too cold. Put a little Archer on power steering fluid. I think it helps. Not a terrible idea. I'm a big fan of Archer oil, guys. While moving, there is no problem. So it's Amia, that you're talking about the Banks gauge, right? About the it's expandable for the gauges there. Sorry, I'm starting over my own words. I have after flushing ETF. Bluegrass Jams, welcome. Good to have you, man. Irvin Brew, Edge. I mean, Edge is awesome. I have tons of great reviews on them. I have two Glow. I've been in two different trucks, no problem so far. I'd buy them again. Yeah, I didn't have I'm at my fuel pressure gauge is actually a Glow Shift. And what's funny is the previous Glow Shift gauge I had was 4 years old, and it did seem like the quality's improved for the one I bought just this past. When did I buy that? Within the last 10 months, I've had it. So it's hard to say, but I definitely they're still not considered quite as nice, but I've had relatively good luck with them. And I got to tell you, if anybody else made that darn gauge with the 3 different inputs on one, I would buy it tomorrow. Because then I'd have everything I need. Okay, it's the banks. I'll have to look into that more. Last I checked, they weren't saying it was compatible with the early 6 liters. Maybe that's something I'll have to give them a call about. Our CTS2, there's awesome work, super good. Yeah, definitely CTS2 is something I'm looking at. I'd love to find one used, just because with needing a built transmission at the moment and dealing with dropping another, I think it comes out to like $650 once you get, $650 or more dollars to be able to monitor the 3 things I want. So I'd probably hold off a little longer on that. Hey, no problem on the ICP video. You know what's funny is that ICP video I did, and a lot of it's funny trying to gauge some of the videos and how they're going to do and the audience they'll bring. That was a video I never thought in a million years was going to turn out as well as it did, but it is like in the top 6 or 7 of our most viewed videos. It was something that when it started blowing up and hit a couple thousand views, I'm like, holy smokes. And it's at like 10, it might be even more than 10,000 now. I haven't checked it in a while. Let's look it up here quick. Yeah, no, it was never a video that I expected much from, and it really does well for me. It just makes me laugh, and like I think it's brought in. It's over 15,000 views now, and when through YouTube analytics, I can look at stuff. So when you guys come to the channel for the first time, or you're a repeat person but you don't subscribe, when you subscribe on a video, you're tracked by YouTube. Just a random creepy fun fact for you. Now, I don't know who subscribes to what video, but they keep track of that. And that video has, like, typically, if you have a good video, you'll get like 30 to 50 subscribers in its time. That video is at like 130 new subscribers just since it went up from that, just from people clicking on it. That's not the people that clicked on the channel and then subscribed too. So definitely been a good video for us. So you're welcome. I love making videos like that to help you guys. That's part of what this channel is all about. We have fun with the drag racing, dyno events, and doing reviews of products and towing. But the big thing is I want to make videos that help you guys do stuff on your own, save some money for you. I'm just an average guy. I'm not a mechanic. I'm a nurse full time. I go to work. I don't, obviously my channel is pretty small still. I can't do this full time, but I'm just a normal person. I have no formal training on it, and I just want to be able to help you guys work on your trucks and learn things at the same way I am. Nobody wants to have to pay a shop a bunch of money to put a turbo on for them all the time. I did just pay Greg. He was very reasonable. I do want to say that in what he charged me, but I did just pay Greg to put my turbo on because those of you new to the channel, I had surgery at the beginning of December to fix a torn bicep, and I'm still not able to go do goofy stuff right now. I got to take it easy for another 5 or 6 weeks here. So, but anyway, things are going well. So worth to do studs and head gas rings if the truck really isn't worth that much. I don't want to spend. Falcon, well, it depends. One, is it actually broken? Because I don't recommend studding a truck just for the sake of studding it. I say stud it after it blows. There's tons of people that have crazy amounts of miles that are tuned on stock head gaskets. And then there's people that blew head gaskets at 40,000 miles. On stock tuning, that is, too. So if you're not blown, I wouldn't do it. However, if you are, these are really good trucks. You get a good set of head gaskets in there, cylinder heads. I'd like to draw everyone's attention to my brother, who's commenting under 6 Bros at the moment. You don't have any formal training. What about me? Josh has been making mistakes first and teaching me not to do them. Josh has taught me an absolute ton about working on vehicles, and also is the one that kind of gave me the push to do my first oil cooler job. And he checked my work every night to make sure I wasn't ruining my truck at the same time. But that was the first big job I ever did, and somehow I got lucky enough and pulled it off. And Josh was double checking to make sure I didn't ruin my truck at the same time. Back to Falcon. If you are blown, you know, if the truck is serving a purpose, then I definitely recommend fixing it. I think they're worth it to fix. I had 180,000 miles when I invested the money to fix mine versus buying a new truck. When the 6-liter does everything I need it to and more. Thanks, Roger. Mike, no problem, man. Glad for you guys saying those videos have helped you. Thank you, because that makes me feel like I did something right out there for you guys. So I'm glad to hear that it has helped you guys. You know, I really appreciate the feedback. And always feel free. I don't know if I've said this recently in videos. If you guys want certain videos made or have certain questions, please ask them. I will do everything I can to make a video to show you guys stuff. You know, right now I am a little limited, so bear that in mind. But I will definitely, I will make videos just to show you guys how to do something if I can. If I'm not able to, I will try to find something. Fortunately, Greg sees a lot of different stuff in his shop, and maybe he'll be able to help show something if I'm unable to. So definitely put your requests in the comment sections, guys, of videos as they go up, and just let me know. I'll do everything I can. Getting a little behind on comments here, guys. Sorry, let me get caught back up here. Can't beat that. Free EGT sensor. I'll take that any day. If you want to make power, it's definitely worth it. Yeah, Josh, I know there's not a lot of, for me, there's not a lot of wiggle room either at the moment with needing a transmission built. For power, but I have. Falcon, I gotta tell you, if you love the truck and it's the truck you want, they're worth fixing. Find a good, reputable mechanic that knows good parts. That's going to give you a warranty with this kind of labor. Head gasket jobs aren't cheap. If they're not going to warranty that work for at least a year, then I would steer clear of them. They're not confident in their work. And I'd talk to them about Kill Devil Diesel heads. I'm a big fan of them. Those of you guys that have been at the channel for a while know I'm always talking about how great they are. I have beaten on these heads, and they're not giving. I'm making a fair amount of power. We have 13 drag strip passes, 9 or so dyno pulls, and almost 2,500 miles of towing. And some of that towing I do is pretty brutal, and these things are not puking anything at all, knock on wood, because, oh man, that would really upset me if they let go. But yeah, I would recommend fixing it. Now understand you are to do it right to get new lifters in there and stuff. The updated push rods. I mean, you are looking at probably a $6,000, $7,000 day. But if that work is done right, your truck's going to last, you know, another 150, 200,000 miles easy. Let's see here. I am not running a non-VGT. Turbo Time USA sponsors the channel. So again, like I said earlier in this live stream, huge shout out to them. I cannot thank them enough. If you go to my most recent video, you will find a link to their website and a coupon code for free for a free merch item with the purchase of one of their PowerMax turbos, one of their custom turbos. They do sell stock replacements, but the coupon code is only valid for the PowerMax, for the custom turbos they make. So they do sell a PowerMax, they sell stock replacements, and then they obviously have their custom turbos. Highly recommend them. Their build quality is very nice. 2 videos ago, I guess, very recently, I've done some videos about their turbo, so go check them out if you're interested. But they do sell a 66 millimeter VGT turbo. It has the 03 or PowerMax turbine on it, and then it has a custom done compressor wheel. I'm loving it so far. It's a blast, but I am not running a non-VGT setup. Excuse me. They are the only ones I know of that make a 66 millimeter compressor. It's 66.2 by 92. So it's pretty big compressor wheel. It spools fast. It sounds awesome. I highly recommend them. Customer service has been great with them. Very excited to have them on board as a sponsor of the channel. In the near future, we're actually going to be putting their Towmaster turbo on Josh's truck to test out and give some feedback on that for you guys as well. I don't have exact dates on that. I can't really talk about everything that I'm talking to with them, but we are waiting on something. And as soon as we have that, though, we'll be going over that. I am way behind on comments. This is awesome, though, guys. I love you guys are making this so much fun. I hope you guys are enjoying the live stream as much as I am. Yeah, I'm about to go to college. Yeah, I mean, if it's bad, if it's puking just daily driving, I would definitely get that fixed. You could go a cheaper route and just get your head surfaced, but I got to tell you, I don't feel as confident in that head stud job. I mean, that should bring the cost down to about $4,500, but I'm definitely a fan of replacing the cylinder heads with Kill Devil diesel heads. But there is a cheaper route to go, and I can understand college and prioritizing. Going to college, getting an education, getting a good job beats hot rodding your truck. If your coolant temps are off, you also need an oil cooler. That's not a bad job to do, to be honest. That's actually pretty easy. It's about a weekend, like if you have no wrenching experience, 3 or 4 days set aside. You'll probably finish early the third day. Just kind of depends. I do think it took me the better part of 4 days to get mine all done, but I was a pretty big novice back then. Nope, I might be getting caught up here in the comment section a little bit. Clay, with 155s, you don't say anything about a turbo or an intake. I would guess you're probably in the 450 to 480 range, most likely with 155s. Provided you have a healthy high-pressure oil pump and a healthy fuel pump, mid to high 400s. And that's just a guess. It's hard to say exactly. There's a lot of variables that go in there. Who built the injectors and what nozzle you're running. You're probably running a stock nozzle with a 155, but I'd guess around 450 to 480. Have you towed with your setup lately? If so, how does it do? Josh, I have towed with this setup, except instead of the 66 millimeter turbo, I had a Power Max on there, and it towed great, plenty of power. I use Windrunner Performance Engineering tow tune, and I have them actually pull some power out of it to help keep temps down. His stock tow tune, I think he said, is in the 65 to 80 horsepower range. I asked him to bring it down into the 40 to 50 horsepower range, and it's just a ballpark. It's not an exact number, but I can say great tow tune. Windrunner Performance Engineering with their tunes, very, very professional. They're one of 3 tuners that I'm testing. Him, Innovative Diesel, and Truck Source Diesel, all 3 have been excellent with their customer service and their tunes. And I plan on doing more reviews on their actual tunes and which ones are my favorite for what applications. And sometime this spring, I just need to kind of get my transmission straightened out so I can give all of them an accurate representation in the reviews. As far as how it did towing with that, it towed great. I will say with this turbo, I don't really notice any more lag, even though it's a good bit bigger. So I'm expecting it to tow actually even better as far as keeping exhaust temps down and stuff. We'll see. I won't know completely until I actually get out there and do it. But so far, I'm loving this turbo, and it will be very interesting to see. Turbo Time and we spoke at length about this turbo choice because I don't want to lose the ability to tow, and they were very confident that I won't have any issue towing while also being able to put down over 600 horsepower with the right size injector. So we'll see. Very, very exciting. It's going to be a fun race season, that's for sure. Between racing, towing, and going to some dyno events. We're going to have a blast this coming season. Hey, I don't know. This truck likes to stutter like the injectors. No. I need to understand more about sputter. Is it just at the idle? Is it under throttle? Any codes? How many miles are on the truck? Are you able to read high pressure oil pump, fuel pressure, things like that? Trying to think what else off the top of my head. IPR would be a good one to have, and anything related to your FICM, what your voltage is. That would kind of be my guess before we start saying your injectors are going bad. Also, any excess white smoke at idle would also be very helpful to know in helping diagnose that. Falcon, one thing I'll say about the 6-liter, it's kind of funny. Pre-emissions, which, I mean, when I say pre-emissions, I mean DPF. The price that people are asking for them, I mean, there's some 6-liter guys that have really become like the 12-valve Cummins guys. Like, I know what I have, asking absurd amounts of money for high-mileage trucks. Something to consider, but definitely it's a coin toss. I'm not a fan of buying someone else's projects, especially when I don't know who wrenched on it, who did the sub job, how well did they do, what gaskets they used, what work was done to cylinder heads. Part of why 6-liters got a bad rap is people weren't checking the heads for flatness, checking them for cracks, using good gaskets. People use cheap gaskets numerous times, causing repeat failures. So I'm not a fan of buying someone else's project with issues. So something to consider when you if you go that route. Ford guy, I have not officially made up my mind on a transmission at this time, but I am working on that. Another week or two, I will have an update for you guys on that. Lasagna's done. Mike, have a good night, man. Thanks for coming in, hanging out with us. That 60, thank you. Appreciate it, man. Love that you guys are helping each other out in the comments. I think that's awesome. Subscribe to the channel for a bit now. Sorry, just trying to get caught up in down here in the comment section. If I do get caught back up, guys, I'm going to talk a little more about Turbo Time USA. Jared, get on it. Josh, always giving the input for quality video ideas. I've been subscribed to the channel for a bit now, but I don't own a 6 there yet. I'm looking personally soon. What are the chances? I would definitely, this is a video I have thought about more than once and I've never put together, but I will definitely do I need to write that down. I'm sure Josh will remind me. I will definitely do a how-to guide for what to look for on buying a 6-liter Powerstroke. It's relatively simple to look, the things to look for, what to check on them. So I'll definitely put that together, and I'll get Greg's input down at the shop of things he sees and things to look out for in that video, just to give another perspective from somebody else as well, and things to look for on the test drive as well. Because let me tell you, a lot of people have bought a 6-liter with a bad oil cooler and EGR cooler, never even knew it, and ended up, that's another reason why 6-liters got such a bad name. You know, people used to find out that the oil cooler failed to replace the oil cooler, not realizing that the damage to the EGR cooler has already been done. 1,000 miles or so later, head gasket job, and a very upset owner that's now also putting another oil cooler in, an EGR, and head gaskets. It's a very bad day for somebody. Did you talk transmission upgrades? If not, do you recommend torque converter? If you're upgrading your transmission, I do recommend going to a billet triple disc. I will say this, a lot of people don't realize it. The factory torque converter is a triple disc torque converter, just doesn't have the billet part or component to it like the upgraded ones. The 5R in general, if you're going to be at 500 horsepower or less, you're probably fine with a stock transmission. Especially if you're not going to be doing stupid stuff with your truck like I do and go drag race and dyno and beat on it on the street all the time. Having fun driving, that's fine. But really, I'm pretty hard on my truck. I'm building my truck for me to be hard on it. That's part of what I want to do, is show that you can build a reliable 6-liter and beat on it. Now, it's probably going a little past my original goals for this truck. But I'm having a blast doing it, and your guys' response has been phenomenal, so I'm going to keep doing all that nonsense. But if you're at 500 horsepower or less, I would not necessarily feel like you need to upgrade your transmission to anything else. Does it hurt? Absolutely not. If you're in the low 500s and you're not doing all the childish things I just referenced, I would probably, if my transmission was going out, I'd probably upgrade the torque converter, and I would probably upgrade clutches and steels in it, put a new pump in, put new solenoids and new center support, and call it a day. I wouldn't mess with a bunch of billet components like I plan to do. There's a lot of intakes out there. Which ones? What would you run stock turbo with KT Performance 03 turbine wheel? First, Clay, I want to say I'm not familiar with that turbine wheel. I'll have to look into that at some point. If you could comment in another video or on Instagram to remind me to look into it, so I can definitely give you a better educated answer. But for intakes on the truck, I'm assuming just a cold air intake. S&B makes an amazing product. Huge fans of them. No Limit Fabrication has a cool intake as well. It's a big intake that kind of then tapers down. It's a 5-inch intake that goes down to a 4-inch. Worley Custom Fabs, one person I've looked at, they sell an intake. I'm a huge fan of S&B filters. That's one thing. I did a cheap mod video a little bit ago. But in that cheap mod I referenced, you get one of the eBay intake kits and put an S&B on it, and for about $120, you can have a pretty nice, you have the open element. I know some people get real sensitive about that, but that'd be one way to do it. But S&B, AFE is another one. I think AFE makes great filters. From all the research I've done, those are kind of the two guys that are really doing it well, and that's who I recommend. But S&B's product is just killer. Josh and I both have S&B on the truck. I will be switching that out this year and probably selling that intake with 2 filters sometime this spring, and going to I want to kind of get some powder coat under the hood. So that's kind of another childish idea of mine. But yeah, that's where I recommend for intakes out there. Biggest injectors you want to go with stock turbo. Stock turbo, if you have no plans to upgrade in the future, I would recommend 155 stock. That's kind of the next size up. It's not a whole lot, but it's a nice, clean running injector. You'll get a little power boost, not a ton, but it would be nice for a stock turbo. If you plan to go bigger to like a Power Max or like a Turbo Time 64x94 compressor wheel, then I would probably recommend like a 175/30 is an incredibly popular injector size and would be a lot of fun with that with either of those 2 turbos I mentioned. Ford guy, I'm still using Torque Pro for the bulk of my monitoring at the moment. However, that'll probably be changing in the near future to get be able to run like boost and fuel in one thing. I don't want to do 3 gauges up the pillar. No, I don't mind that look, but I don't want a bunch of bright lights shining in my face either. Josh took care of coolant. Beautiful. Josh, the Turbo Time USA code is 60 bros spelled out, so 60 bros. The previous video I have posted just has that in there. You can go check that out and just copy the link or copy the coupon code and click on the link to their website, and that'll take you right to them. people over 600 and beefed up 4 speeds. Your thoughts, and thank you for your videos. Dade, no problem on the videos, man. As far as over 600 going to the 4, so the transmission they go to is a 4R. It's a 4R 100 transmission out of the V10 trucks. Will bolt up to the 6-liter, and they get them built. The only real reason I would see to do that is for people that are only concerned with the drag strip. The 5R, what it does is the 3 to 5 shift flare is caused because it drops a clutch pack as it picks up another one in the 5R. That's what causes the hesitation. Excuse me. And in the 4R, you don't have that, so it just keeps picking up the clutch packs as it goes. So it's a little bit, it can be a little bit faster down the drag strip and more consistent than a 5R. However, if you're not one of the guys out there looking to run 7, or I think all the fast guys are like 9-second passes, then yeah, I would just stick with a built 5R. The built 5R is a great transmission. You got to go to the 4-speed from the V10 trucks. You got to get a different control module for it. It's a whole bunch of extra work. So unless you're one of those guys that's really, really competitive at the drag strip, then I wouldn't waste the extra money to have that. I just get a 5R built. How much to bulletproof a 6.0? I've seen the numbers kind of going on down here. And I think Josh nailed it best. You can spend a lot more than that going down the rabbit hole, depending on what all you get done. I think a fair stud job that should get you O-ringed heads and heads gone through properly by a machine shop, around $4,500, $5,000 in my opinion. And that's a new water pump that's going through everything, making sure everything's good. New lifters in there, but again, you start $7,000 should get you aftermarket heads from Kill Devil Diesel and all that, in my opinion. But yeah, you can really go down the rabbit hole when you want. And it's just like anything performance-wise. As soon as you start talking performance, prices can get kind of out of hand, definitely. But a good stud job should be right around the $4,500, $5,000 mark, and that should be with ARP studs. That's not an additional cost after that, and good quality gaskets as well. If you have another shop do it, doing it yourself is less than 4 usually. Yeah, definitely. I probably dropped off, don't hold me to this number, I think I dropped off roughly about $4,000 to $5,000 in parts when I did my build at the shop. Now that was heads, camshaft, lifters, push rods, all new coolant hoses, degas bottle, radiator. I mean, you name it, I pretty much brought it there. Now he did purchase a lot of stuff as well, so that's nowhere near the final bill, but I think that's a ballpark what I dropped off at the shop. Coolant filters, maybe you covered this. Clay, I think you should put a coolant filter on there. And I've been looking at the IPR coolant filter recently. I'm running the XDP one right now, but it just kind of trickles a little off and filters that. So it doesn't filter a ton of coolant at one time. That's kind of why I've been looking at the IPR one to filter a higher percentage of coolant, because my oil cooler is definitely clogged, and this spring I'll be changing it out. Looking for a truck. Crankshaft, you really can't go wrong with either a 7.3 or a 6.0. Both great trucks in their own respect. 7.3, unless you spend some money, you're not going anywhere very fast. A 6-liter, unless you spend some money, you're not going fast for long. So it's kind of back and forth. I can make pros and cons for each. My opinion is whatever's in your budget. The 6-liter compared to a 7.3 is a whole other animal of truck, but at the same time, it's hard to say. My old man has a 7.3. I did a couple videos on. We love the 7.3, but at the same time, if you want the more performance, you got to typically spend a little more money to get it. There's trade-offs either way. I could go on. I could spend the next 3 hours talking about differences between the 7.3 and 6.0 and why you could argue one's better than the other. Whatever's in your price range that you like, that it has a clean truck, I would recommend that. It's probably the safest advice I can give you. Some views are tough and hard to diagnose. That's one thing Clay brings up. I didn't even think about that. If you plan to add power, I'd probably recommend a 6-liter, because with the 7.3, you got connecting rods and the transmission as your weak link. By the time you're on the 450 horsepower mark, you know, the cylinder head argument is kind of out of the book, because the 7.3 is probably going to need studded then, and your transmission is going to be on the link or in the danger zone. And I believe 450 to 500 is kind of the danger zone for the connecting rods and 7.3s as well. Crankshaft with one power but not stuck on the road. Again, they both can be very fun trucks. I mean, we just put a 100 horsepower tune in my dad's truck with a small injector upgrade. It's a fun truck to drive, and it's safe. You know, it's not destroying the transmission. You know, it's probably around 330 horsepower of the wheels, but it's still fun. What kind of fuel mileage are you seeing with Josh? It changes with each tune, but I've seen upwards of 17 more than once when I run my Windrunner Performance race tune. And now when I go to like the tunes that I actually go drag racing in, they definitely do not do well in the fuel mileage category. They're just fun, but I'm trying to think. Last time I ran Ultimate X Tune for an extended period, I think I was getting like 13.5 around town. It's a lot faster, makes a ton more power than my Windrunner Performance Tune, but my Windrunner Performance Tune also gets 17 miles per gallon around town. So it just depends what you're into. Ask me how I know. Yeah, like Josh said there, just because you can afford the cool truck doesn't mean you can afford to fix the cool truck. What about the 6.4? The 6.4, I don't know enough about, guys. The one thing about 6.4s is it's International's first time in an engine that size doing common rail injection for a pickup truck. I don't know if they did any other common rail injections at that point. There's the 6.0 and 6.4 have cost-cutting measures written all over them. You know, not bashing the trucks at all, but that's just facts. For instance, the 6.4 block is the same as a 6.0 block, just machined a different spec. You know, they should have redesigned the block to accommodate. When they run great. When they die, typically you're talking catastrophic failures. That's what I've seen from people. Now, are there 6.4 guys out there with a ton of miles? Absolutely. Just like you have guys with 6-liters that are running factory head stud or head bolts at 400,000+ miles. So, you know, there's always the few people out there that get lucky. The Mishimoto makes a nice looking coolant filter. I do like the one-piece hose too. I don't run it. Josh doesn't run it, but it is a sharp looking piece. Man, lots of hate on the 6.4. Let's see here. So off subject, my 0560 just laid down. Promax has... Edward, talking about your truck here. So do you have power at all to anything? When you go to turn the key, it won't crack acts like that. Like when you go to turn the key, does it just go click and that's it? If that's the case, I would double check all your grounds, double check your terminals for any kind of corrosion. Or any buildup on there to get them cleaned off. I've seen that not start trucks. And of course, any codes. The fact that it's not cranking, Yeah, power is on, it turns over, just slow turns over. Edward, I would recheck all your power and ground wires, and if you don't see anything suspicious there, I would look at testing the amp draw on your starter to see what's going on there. It could be a bad starter going out. Some of these trucks will, as the starters go out, instead of just failing, they'll start to spin slow, slow, slow. So I would definitely look at the amp draw on the starter itself and see if maybe it's not pulling too much. Also battery voltage while you're trying to crank would be a good one to check out, dude. Curtis, you bring up a good point about the oil cooler being a great coolant filter for the trucks. There's a good chance I will be running an IPR coolant filter on my truck in the near future. Guys recommend going down south. Crankshaft, it's not a terrible idea to go down south to buy a truck, depending on where you are. But again, don't lose sight of whatever's fiscally responsible. Whatever you can afford, that's what you can afford. Sometimes it's hard to, now you got to throw in extra expense to go down south. You're going to feel more pressured to buy the truck because you made the trip down there. That being said, I had Jared loves CarMax. Funny story, that is how I got my truck. I don't know if there's another comment in here that Josh said that, but my truck started out in California, ended up in Texas somehow, and I had it shipped up from Texas. Oh, I'm getting behind on the comments again. I'm learning that because you like these trucks, I mean you can afford to work on them. Powers aren't turns over, so no injector noise. Just got chewed up and the starter was replaced a month ago. Do you think my starter caused this? NPC, I don't necessarily think your starter is what I don't think your starter is necessarily what caused this. I've heard of people doing the 6.4 starter and ending up with a chewed up flywheel. I would just upgrade to a billet one personally. But you are not the first person I've heard that happen to, either with a 6.4 starter or with the stock 6.0 starter. So I don't think that was the cause of it at all. I think that was just bad luck, unfortunately. When my transmission's out, there is a good chance I will be putting in a billet flywheel at the same time. Talk about higher gear ratio, change for stock tires. I know on a 733, 733 is as high as you want to go. Clay, can you re-say this comment about gears? I'm not sure if you were responding to somebody or what you're asking for me here. Reword that for me. I'm definitely happy to answer that the best I can. I have a new 6.4 starter. Ed, you're throwing me for a loop here. I would definitely go look at grounds and power wires. I think there's a good chance that will lead you in the right direction. Whether you just want to reground stuff and run new power wire to things, not a terrible idea. The big 3 upgrade, as they call it. But I definitely think that is probably that would be where I was looking. You could also check fuses, but it sounds like it's trying to do everything. Excuse me, it just isn't doing it fast enough. But definitely this extreme cold that everybody's seeing will reveal things like bad grounds and stuff like that, bad batteries, but you have new batteries, new starter, new alternator. I'd be looking at grounds, especially since work was done semi-recently. Maybe something wasn't quite torqued down just enough to get it there. So there's that. Who would you recommend getting a Fickum tune from? Not really trying to build power in my X, but dumping a bunch of fuel. So Fickum tuning is something I want to mess with this year. And I'm looking at Power Hungry Performance. I also know that Innovative Diesel does Fickum tuning. WPE does Fickum tuning, although I think you have to send your Fickum to him to get it tuned. But all three are very reputable shops. I personally will probably purchase the Power Hungry Performance one, but that's more so I can kind of provide more video content for you. I don't think there'd be anything wrong with the Fickum tuning from Innovative Diesel either. Josh, there's a ton of good tuning out there. Windrunner Performance Engineering, phenomenal tuning. Innovative Diesel, I love to run at the track. It's not my favorite for daily driving, but I do enjoy it. And I'm currently testing Truck Source Diesel's SPD tune. I wish they called it something different. I think it stands for Super Panty Dropper. I think that's kind of tacky, but I gotta tell you, it's a phenomenal tune so far. I'm loving it. Good tunes you would recommend. SCT. Definitely SCT all the way. I just run the X3 on my truck. Oop, where'd my comments go? Here we go. It's -30 where I'm at. It's a little chilly there, Crankshaft 10. -30. I'd be out of there. Matt, you know, I actually really liked the 5.4, to be honest. I know a lot of people didn't. And there is fix for the spark plug issue now. They have that whole kit out for it. But I've heard that some of the 3.5 EcoBoosts have turbo issues. I don't know if that's true or not, but I have heard that. I'm a big Ford fan, so I'm probably the wrong guy to be asking that. 5.0, good motor, or good engine. 6.2, I didn't really hear anything bad about that. I hear Ford's bringing back a monster 7-liter V8. America. That's what I say to that. That's awesome. I don't really hear much bad about anybody out there in the world right now. Truth be told, even Chevy and Dodge. Expect your body and frame to rust on a Dodge, though. I figure Dodge has made enough head gasket jokes about 6 liters. I can make a rust joke. Thanks for the points. Keep tracking. Edward, I have not sold the turbo, although I probably will be looking to sell it in the next week. Or I'll post a video when I'm ready, but probably in the next week or two, I'll be ready to part ways with that turbo. Chris, are you saying ask me or ask which Jared are you talking about? Like Kill Devil Diesel Jared or me? What's wrong with the 5.4? Josh going to bat for the 5.4. we're definitely biased in that. I'm asking 6.0 with stock size tires would like a higher gear, like a 3. Clay, I think the 373 gears that the 6-liter comes with is really a good size with stock tires. I'm running it on 35s, and I'm considering re-gearing to 410s, which would, with a 35-inch tire, would bring me back to like a factory gearing at the end. So no, I don't think you really need to mess with gears on the 6-liter. Can you? Yeah, there's what is it, the Tow Boss package? I think dualies came with like 430s or 433, something like that. But if you're keeping stock tires and you're not towing like anything ridiculous, I would probably just I would definitely stick with the stock gearing. That's way too warm. I'm still in shorts. What are your thoughts on KC Turbo Stage 2? I have nothing bad to say about KC Turbo. I don't have personal experience with his Stage 2 Turbo. There are a ton of people running it. So there's that. I am Kagan. I am the channel, recently been sponsored by Turbo Time USA, and I'm currently running one of their turbos, and I absolutely love it. They make a 64 by 94 compressor wheel turbo. I don't quote me on KC's size. I believe there's a 64.7 by 88. So you have to kind of form your opinion from that. You are talking both turbos are capable in the realms of about 600 horsepower max, I believe. So they're probably comparable, but I am definitely sold on the quality and the workmanship that comes from Turbo Time USA. Again, I got nothing bad to say about KC Turbo, but Turbo Time USA has been absolutely fantastic to deal with, and I love the turbo so far. It's clean. They come powder coated as well. Not that you can't get the KC powder coated, but you know, that's included in your purchase. They are priced. I looked at the KC Stage 2 to compare the price of my 66.2 millimeter that I'm running from Turbo Time USA. So, and the Stage 2 is comparable in price to my 66 millimeter turbo. So I would recommend checking out Turbo Time USA. And let me know what you think. If you have any questions, happy to help. You can also reach those guys on Instagram, and they'll respond and take care of you there. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm burping so much tonight, but again, nothing bad to say about the KC Stage 2. A ton of people are running it, but I'm definitely pretty sold on Turbo Time USA. Fickum Fixer, I'll have to check him out, dude. I have not heard of him. Does a better job and is less expensive. I'll definitely have to look into him. You had one of the, were those Harley 5.4s supercharged, was it? Am I correct on that? I'm pretty certain, Josh, that the 7-liter V8's confirmed too. What gears do you recommend with 37s? Oh, Josh, I don't know enough about gearing to tell you much. From what I do know, I would say probably a 433-ish, somewhere in there would probably be about factory. Would give you an end gear ratio similar to factory. There was a guy. His name on Powerstroke.org was JetJock. I think he was running something big, 456, 488, something like that. I mean, it was huge. There was running, I don't know what size tires he was running, but 37 sound about right. I definitely have to defer to somebody else. I would check with local off-road shops to see what they recommend running with that big of a tire. Because I don't know enough, man. I wish I did. I'm still learning more about gears. Again, my guess would be a 433 is probably similar to factory gear ratio. Is there any performance in switching from 3.5 pipe to a 4-inch? 4-inch now, for stock tuning, so I went from a factory exhaust with a cat and muffler to a 4-inch stainless steel turboback exhaust, basically the same exhaust that's on Josh's truck. They are incredibly similar. And what I noticed with factory tuning is that I lost a little off the line. I noticed I had an increase in lag time, something to consider, because there are 3.5-inch downpipe kits out there and 4-inch downpipes, but the factory downpipe is small. In the exhaust video that we have posted, you can see how small. We show a section where we compare it to the 4-inch and the factory one, and it's tiny. It's definitely smaller than the 3.5-inch pipe the rest of it is. Now, when you start getting into the performance side of things, probably north of 500, you probably can see a little lower exhaust temps, but I can't 100% confirm that because by the time I got there, I was already kind of over that mark. So we probably lose torque without a tune. Yeah, I feel I definitely lost torque without a tune. Now, it wasn't bad to drive, don't get me wrong, but I definitely noticed a little more lag off the line when I did it. But the sound makes up for that loss in power. It's not often that happens. but definitely happened there. I would definitely recommend full exhaust kits with at least the 3.5-inch downpipe. And personally, I am a little partial. I do like the 4-inch. I do like a 4-inch downpipe all the way out. It's a Mia. I didn't even think about that. Gear calculators online. Check them out. Yeah, 02, 03 hire trucks had the stock bottom end and ammo. I bet that was a fun truck. A 5/4 supercharger. I bet that was fun to goof around in. At what point would you recommend a lift? Josh, I assume you mean what tire size do I recommend a lift? I start to recommend a lift. You can sneak 33s in if you keep the factory offset. Oh, lift pump. Okay, I was really off. That's funny. I wasn't even close. A lift pump, if you're looking to keep things relatively factory and you're not looking to go bigger than a 175/30, then I'd stick with the factory lift pump and maybe do definitely want to monitor your fuel pressure. Excuse me. You want to monitor your fuel pressure. I just see now that depends if you like to look cool. That's funny. 175/30s, if you have a healthy lift pump, you can supply them. I wouldn't recommend going any bigger. But at that, I do recommend monitoring your fuel pressure. And you may need to do a regulated return at that point. Each truck's going to be a little bit different. Lots of good regulated return kits out there, but you're definitely there's a chance you'll need one with that injector size to keep it healthy. Mike Young, what's up, 6 Whereas I'm running one. How much of a difference would I see with 175/30s? Mike, I've not run a 175/30. I've run a 175 stock. I will say this. I don't think you need a 30% nozzle on 155s. The stock nozzle can pretty much empty that completely. You will see a little bit of going from a 155 to a 175, both with stock nozzles. You'll see very minimal gain with the 175 with a stock nozzle because you run out of pulse width. Pulse width is how long the injector is actually firing. So you're not going to be able to empty that. I actually think you'd probably see a pretty big difference with a 175/30 from your 155/30 right now. And odds are somebody would be happy to buy 155/30s off you, or maybe the builder would give you a discount if you sent your injectors in first to have worked over. I don't know if they do that. They can reuse your current nozzle, but you definitely would. Yeah, I think you'd see a pretty big difference with a 175/30. It's a fair amount more fuel than what you're pushing out of a 155. Josh, that was funny. I recently bought an 05 250 trying to sell first upgrade. It'll probably be remote start and keyless entry. What would you do first to a stock 6L? I think the 6-liter community as a whole can agree the first mod should be an exhaust. One of the best things I think you can do is do an exhaust on these trucks. Why do I feel like I missed something up here? 1 second, guys. I feel like there was a question I just now kind of popped back into my head. All right, never mind. I think exhaust. Check out Josh's My Exhaust video. You get he's running the Diamond Eye 4-inch turbo back exhaust. It's a nice kit, works well. Install was really easy. Winker B. I'm gonna hide that comment. Anyway, yeah, definitely run it. I would do an exhaust. That's probably one of the most reasons people buy 6 liters is that great sound. Intakes are nice. Not going to do much until you start really pushing some power, but I'm also a fan of them. I'm a big fan of making the truck your own. I know people criticize the intakes, and everybody loves to throw this arbitrary number of, oh, the stock intake's good for 500 horsepower. I don't believe that to be the case, but anyway, sorry. I think I gotta get rid of another comment here. But yeah, so those would be my first two mods. They're easy. You can do them at home. I would wait till it gets a little bit warmer, but that's just me. That's funny. As it turns out, guys, I can put people on timeout in here. So when people say dumb things, I'm actually allowed to put them on timeout. That's funny. Anyway, Mike, I forget what you... Yeah, they're basically brand new. Mike, there's a good chance somebody would probably buy them, but I would definitely contact the builder and ask if they would let you send them in to be, and how much it would cost to turn them into 175s. It might be a little bit cheaper to go that route. If not, would be a great place. People, if you're looking for 155/30cc injectors, check out Mike Young. He might be interested in getting rid of a pair. Mike, hopefully that helps you out. If anybody's looking for injectors, I feel like people love injectors on 6 liters. It's a nice upgrade. But yeah, definitely no problem, Mike. Definitely contact the builder too and see what they can do for you as far as maybe modifying yours a little bit more. Kagan, I will probably have a transmission update in about 2 weeks on what I'm planning on doing. Flow Pro is nice. They come with band clamps. Band clamps are a nice upgrade too. I'd like to actually get a few to put on over. I have a weld that's leaking on my exhaust, and you can't tell it's there, but I know it's there. So I kind of I was thinking about getting a band clamp to throw over that. Exhaust is what I was thinking was leaning towards all the way back. Yep, Josh and I are both running 4-inch turbo back exhaust, and we both love them. They sound great. Wicked Wheel 2 is great, cheapest upgrade. Got mine for $200. Yeah, I ran a billet compressor wheel in my stock turbo for a long time. No complaints. I liked it. Felt like it spooled up a little quicker, but it's definitely not it's not going to change how it's not going to really give you a ton of top end. I just felt like it spooled up a little quicker. How would you go about leveling front of a 2-wheel drive 6.0? Isaac, I'm not sure on the leveling kits for 2-wheel drive trucks, but I run rough country and I've been impressed with their quality. BDS is another one that has good stuff. Those are probably the two I would go to. You'll hear there's always the lift snobs out there that if you don't have an Icon lift, you don't know what it is, what lifting a truck is. I would definitely look at Rough Country or BDS, personally speaking. Those are the two companies I always look to for my stuff. I need a wrench, please. Copyright inspector. What do you need a wrench for, dude? Loading shackle. Yeah, Napa says less easy to assemble in the future, and pipes are not. Move once clamps are tight, they don't rust. I didn't know Napa sold them. I shouldn't be surprised. This is the thing. Sometimes I get lazy about buying parts, and I just don't want to spend the money because it's not a huge priority. But then I'll go do dumb stuff like, oh, a moderator. I didn't even think about that. Just probably not. It depends what you want to do, Isaac. If you want to raise it to level it, or if you want to drop the rear to level it. I've seen people do both. Just depends if you want to go taller or shorter. If you wanted to level it lower, you probably just take one of the blocks out, get a different size block altogether, depending on what's in the rear, and just swap them out. Get new U-bolts if you do that. But that's probably all you need to do there. If you wanted to go lower, higher, they probably just have a little puck to put in the top. I believe two-wheel drive trucks. For some reason, I want to say all the two-wheel drive trucks were coil springs, but I could be wrong. Depends on your year. You'll probably need a kit for them. Copyright inspector. Hopefully, I really would hope to never get to a point where I need moderators. I do know bigger channels definitely use them. I think they do, Josh. For some reason, I want to say they do. I'm not sure. I think they have independent, and I think it's coil springs up front. And I'm not familiar with independent suspensions very much. I know this. I know more the solid axles is what I'm really have been familiar with, because the 6 liter is really what I learned to start wrenching on. The copyright inspector, hopefully at no point we need it, but if the channel keeps growing, which hopefully it does, I'm sure at some point during these I'll need to. And Winker Bean's back. You can ask anything within reason. I really would prefer to not have ridiculous comments. All right, dude, we're gonna put you back on timeout, which is fun to do. I enjoy doing that. And if he pops up again and does that, I'm just gonna remove him from the live feed instead of ruining it for everybody else. Banhammer coming down. Hopefully not, but I don't want people ruining the community and what we have going on. Hopefully he calms down. Apparently he didn't leave. I thought he did when I saw the views go down. But anyway, coil spring I-beam, you will mess the toe all up. Clay sounds like he knows a lot more about the two-wheel drive trucks. Yeah, go with that. So I definitely want to I would definitely do some research. I'm just not familiar enough with it to kind of be able to give you anything. Offset bushings will correct the camber with a 2-inch lift, no problem. Yeah, so it sounds like there's more involved in leveling, at least when you're raising it on those trucks, than necessarily there is with the solid axles. Copyright inspector, you did tell me. That made me laugh. I read that right as I was taking a sip. Joseph, welcome, dude. I feel like we've talked before. Your name looks really familiar. Maybe I'm just losing it, but your name looks familiar. Thank you for coming in, man. Hope you enjoy the live feed. This has been probably our most successful live feed. I am probably going to end this soon. It's getting late. Probably call Josh and bug him for a little bit. But I haven't done one in a long time, and we've had a lot of new subscribers, so I wanted to do another one and let people know this is another way we can all interact and have fun. And I think it's cool just to show you guys. This is, in a weird way, this is kind of me trying to give back to you. Yes, we get views from this, but this is kind of to give you guys more of a platform to talk with me. And Josh is obviously in the comment section commenting and hanging out. So this is just a good time for everybody. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Before we roll out, any questions, guys? Anything you guys have that you want to say here? Sorry, my arm's getting a little sore. Like I said, I'm still recovering from surgery. It's getting better, but sometimes it does get a little tired. I do have aftermarket taillights. They're just cheapos off Amazon. I have liked them so far. I've had 0 issues with them. I have considered going to the 08 taillights. I think they look cool, like getting a smoked out one. I like the shape, how they... Diesel dudes. Clay, have a good one. Thank you for all your help in the live feed, and thanks for your input, man. It was great hanging out with you. But I like how the 08 newer ones, they kind of like pop out off the body. Bumpers, I'm considering this year doing color match bumpers and getting rid of all my chrome. Maybe not permanently, but maybe getting a wrap. I have been looking for the 08 tailgate. I've even considered selling, or I've even posted my tailgate for sale. I had one person kind of interested, then they backed out. I do think this year I'm going to probably take the American flag down and do something on the tailgate related to the channel, kind of get that wrap to advertise for the channel a little more. Josh, thank you, man. Definitely will. And as always, if you have any questions, comment in the videos, and I'll do everything I can to help everyone out. For those of you guys remaining, I do just want to take a second to give another shout out to Turbo Time USA. I'm loving their turbo. I'm very grateful for their support. Again, we're going to be reviewing their Towmaster for Josh's truck in the near future. We're going to run it without tuning, and just to kind of have a completely drop-in turbo. I think Josh's truck will run fine with it without tuning, and then probably at some point get a little tow tune on there as well. And, you know, that turbo is not set up for a bunch of power. It's set to tow nicely, so that's what we'll be doing with that. Thank you, man. I definitely will. I appreciate your support as well on the channel. And again, guys, use the coupon code they gave us. You can find that in the previous videos. It's 60bros, but it's all spelled out. So SIX0BROS. And that's for free merch off their website. In the next video related to them, I'm actually going to open the merchandise they sent Josh and me and take that up to Josh. I owe that to him. It's a Mia. We will not be in Motorama. I'll probably head up just to see it. I went to Motorama for the first time with Josh last year, and it was a good time. Maybe if I'll talk with Josh, and maybe we can let you guys know what day we'll be up there and maybe get to see you guys. That'd be kind of cool to get to see you again. So something we're planning. But yeah, guys, so if you're in the market for a turbo, check them out. They do stock replacements, Power Max, and of course, all their custom builds. The coupon code is only good on their custom built turbos, so go check them out, guys. Thank you guys all for this. Has been a blast. I had a ton of fun. I'm sure Josh had fun hanging out too. So anyway, guys, I'll see you next time. Any video requests? I do remember the one about purchasing a 6-liter, so I will try to make that happen this weekend. Maybe I'll shoot that. And I have a couple videos I have to do anyway for some stuff, so I commented a couple weeks ago on your axle seal video. I was clarifying the greasing of the wheel bearings. I don't remember. Joseph, did I comment back? Your name looks familiar, but I don't remember commenting on that. I'll have to go back and check and make sure I actually returned your message there. But anyway, guys, so Instagram, Facebook, 60bros. You can find links in the banner on the YouTube channel. Any questions, direct them there, guys. Thank you all again. I will see you next time. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.